What's going on, guys? It's Quadra FUV here, and today I will be sharing my experience with the new Zod Talon 250G. So, in case you guys haven't noticed, flying long range has significantly piqued my interest in the past year, and the Dart 250G was my first dive into long range planes. The plane could easily fly a 30-mile round trip on a 3S lithium ion pack, which is amazing to me for a plane at this weight and this size. In addition, I had iNav installed in it, which greatly assisted me in the navigation, and it gave me a safety net in case I lost signal. Unfortunately, the Dart 250 is now lost in the mountains surrounding my area. The crash was mainly my fault, as I installed a very old Little B 20 amp ESC in efforts to get rid of the low voltage cutoff that the stock ESC had, which would give me a little more flight time. Maybe I'll go after it someday, because I'm pretty sure I know where it's at, but I'm not 100% sure. Continuing on with the purpose of this video, the Talon 250G is going to be my reboot into a small, portable, and near-silent long-range cruiser. And this is Zod's new 250-gram sort of airplane, kind of targeted at beginners, but I have a little bit of experience with planes, and it's just a very nice, they're all very nice platforms for long range. So this model comes packaged in this small cardboard box, which can easily be reused to carry the craft around. Inside you'll find the fuselage, the wing, the canopy, two different props for either 2S or 3S, the thumb screw for the wing, the V-tail fins, the stickers, and some advertisements for some other models. Probably my favorite thing about Zod's airplanes is that they're basically ready to go right out of the box. You can see that the 1406 motor, 30 amp ESC, and the servos are already fitted and ready to be used. I also like that the wing is easily removable, which makes transportation a breeze. You can just kind of unscrew the thumb screw and then just toss it in your vehicle. You may even be able to fit it on like a backpack with a long battery strap, which is super nice. There's only one minor glue job that has to be done, and that's for the V-tail. I simply just used some E6000 glue to glue those fins in, and I haven't had any issues with them coming out. They don't even feel loose. Keep in mind, just make sure you insert the control horns before gluing the tail fins in all the way, or else it'll be an absolute pain in the butt. And I'm going to show some pictures of how I have my control horns set up for the best cruising performance and what works for me. For the electronics, I'll be using the Maytech F411 WSE flight controller. It's probably the smallest iNav wing flight controller out there, and it's going to be running iNav. I'll be putting TBS Crossfire, nano receiver in there, a Race-Day Quads GPS module, a TBS Unify Pro HV that I just had laying around, and a true RC OCP antenna. The build itself was pretty straightforward. It only took me about an hour or two. You can see that the Maytech board fit nicely in the back next to where the tail servos are. The other components were just double-side tape to the walls and the floor of the fuselage, which has worked out fine for me. I poked my FPV antenna out the top behind the wing, and the Immortal T out the side of the fuselage. And the final build came out to be 186 grams with no battery. With that out of the way, it was maiden time. While this is not a recommended move by most pilots, I took the risk of using auto launch on the maiden. I did tweak the stock auto launch settings just a bit to ones that were successfully used by a pilot by the name of Dong Ho Lee on YouTube, who I think does some pretty amazing things with planes, so definitely go check him out. The maiden itself was pretty uneventful. Auto launch worked as it should, and the plane didn't seem to have any notable issues other than being out of trim and out of tune, of course. I didn't want to go too extreme with the weight, so I ended up using two 450 mAh 3S packs from my toothpick in parallel. I also went ahead and used the 5x5 prop instead of the 3-inch, just in case I needed that extra lifting power. I already knew I would prefer this configuration, as first off I used it on the Dart 250 and it seemed to work just fine, and of course the power system on this one is exactly the same, and it just makes the model feel much more capable. I don't have any DVR footage from this maiden flight, but I did end up getting around 10 minutes of flight out of these two packs, so not bad. Of course, experimenting came along, as I do, since this is going to be my long-range cruiser. Of course, the first thing I tried was a 3S1P lithium ion pack, and to me it just seems to be the best balance between weight, performance, and endurance for this craft. With that configuration, the craft comes in at a good 333 grams. Of course, it's not 250 grams, but I don't really care about that. I was able to fly for 45 minutes on this configuration, and I was able to cover just shy of 30 miles. I did do a whole lot of acrobatic maneuvers in that particular flight as well, so there's probably some headroom. You could probably cover close to 35. In the DVR footage you're watching right now, I'm testing out a 2S2P lithium ion pack, and that gives me a whopping 6,500 milliamp hours, which is insane for a plane this size. I haven't tested this battery thoroughly. This flight that you're watching is actually the first time I tried it, but according to the efficiency readings, I should be able to cover at least 50 miles in maybe about an hour and a half flight time, close to that. The downside about it really dumbs down the airplane's performance, because one, there's much lower voltage, and the weight is increased up to 379 grams. But that's not a problem for long-range cruising. That will actually be really good for long-range cruising, because it's going to be really docile and hopefully smoother, and it'll have much more weight to push through the air. Unfortunately to say, I did have some durability tests. I didn't really want to crash the plane to keep it nice and clean looking, but I guess that's just everybody. This was really a result of me experimenting with 4S, just to see how much speed I could get, or if it gave me any more efficiency. The power with the stock drivetrain on 4S was pretty dang good, but I didn't end up frying the stock motor because I was using the 5-inch prop, and it was probably way too much for that motor. So I did swap it out for this iFlight Zing 1408 2800 kV, and it doesn't really seem to make much of a difference, but it works fine. I used the 3-inch prop on this motor when I tested it out on 4S, and it worked great. It had 80 mile per hour speed runs. It was super awesome until something gave out and it started doing some rolls right into the ground. And here's the damage. This broke the nose and the plywood parts for the battery and the wing. The nose was a fairly simple glue job, and the plywood parts I just 3D printed in PLA+. The wing brace was designed by Painless 360, and the battery plate was designed by me. I will put a link to both parts in the description. And after all these repairs, the plane is back up in the air. To conclude this video, I think the Talon 250G is a far better choice for me. The Talon design that is used by many long-range pilots is an excellent platform for heavy lifting and cruising. To compare this to the Dart, it seems to track much better because of the tail, and I'm really enjoying having that rudder control. It just seems to turn a whole lot better, and it just seems to track where you want it to go much better. But it could also be because I've practiced more, but of course anything with a tail is going to be much more stable. I'm also really enjoying the extra room inside the fuselage to just put whatever I want in there. I mean, I had no problem putting in those 4 lithium ion cells, and I could probably even fit more if I wanted to. But to me, the 4 lithium ion cells seems about the maximum I'd be willing to put in there. The Talon seems to be the far better choice for long-range pilots. I believe it'll serve me well as long as I don't lose it, of course. I do plan on adding this Cadex Tarsier that I found on sale to record some 4K footage with this plane, so look forward to some content with that. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from the information I've given in this video. I will leave you guys with some of the DVR footage that I have, and please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on other videos. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.